Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. Today, I am joined by a returning guest to have her actual first episode all by herself. I previously had her on for Women in Tabletop Gaming month of 2018. I'm joined by Tracey Michienzi of ELS Gameday, and I am so happy to have you back, Tracey.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It is, and I'm so excited. You have a lot of fandoms that we'll get to cover. Of course, we talked tabletop gaming exclusively last year, but I'm excited to expand the range of stuff this year.
Oh, totally.
So one of the things that you mentioned previously, I think we talked about it on Twitter back and forth a little bit, and I just did my rewatch of, I think it's 8 seasons of it?
I think it's 8, yeah.
I think it's 8, and that is the phenomenal show, The West Wing.
Yes, I love The West Wing.
I remember when I started watching it, because I watched it when it actually was airing, probably for the first 4 or 5 seasons, and then after that I fell off the wagon for some reason. When did you start watching it?
So I was watching right away as well. I think it started in 99 and I started college in 2000. So it was one of those good shows to take a break from studying, and I was actually studying political science and pre-law, so it spoke to all of that wonderfulness for me. And I followed it through until about season 5 too. I think it got a little slow when they started doing re-elections and the election cycle and stuff like that. So So I kind of fell off the wagon. I caught up with it on Netflix. Thank goodness for Netflix.
Thank goodness for Netflix. That's how I completed my my rewatch, was thank goodness to Netflix. And like we were talking before, and how I just mentioned I had stopped watching. So there are portions of it where I had heard about it, but I'd never seen it actually play out. And I was like, this is all new to me. Like, I had no clue about certain things that came up, or how people, because I jumped in at the, like, right near the season finale, I started watching again. I was like, I have no clue who half these people are.
Yeah, everything definitely changes at one point, and I don't know. Are we going to get spoilery?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, do you see Leo's death in real time, or did you see that on the Netflix rewatch?
I saw it on the Netflix rewatch, but I remember hearing about it in the news, and I remember hearing that he had been part of the re-election storyline that was going on, and they'd have to do something about it. And I don't know if it was scripted. I think it was scripted for him to have Leo have the whatever happens in the room.
Heart attack or something like that.
It is heart attack, and I don't know if they had to change what the eventual storyline was going to be, or what whatever happened with the story to accommodate for the death. But I will tell you, on my watch on Netflix, I was tearing up and just getting so emotional, because seeing, you see what happens, and you feel so bad. And and he really died. It's real. But
and after so long, and after being with these characters for so long and watching them grow, his death was so painful. And it was made even more painful in the series finale, when his daughter shows up with the gift.
Mm-hmm.
And then he opens it on the plane. That's where I lose it in the finale.
Oh yeah, that is America. Yeah. His death, Leo McGarry's death, is one of those big things where it's like a sucker punch to just a sucker. It just knocks the wind out of you.
I mean, it's we can talk about why CJ is my favorite character in a different point, but her story arc with Mark Harmon, and they get to the point where they can finally go on that date, and he dies, and she just wanders through New York City to Hallelujah.
Yep.
Is so gut-wrenching.
Yep. And Mrs. Landingham, that's another one where it's Charlie's let me go with you. I'll come with you. and she's like, I can do it by myself, and it's
It was the first day she had her driver's license too, wasn't it? I think it was like the first day she in her first car.
it's her first brand new car that she was buying. She'd
Oh.
never bought a car for herself, essentially.
Oh my god, that's so. And then when she shows up as as Ghost Mrs. Landingham, that was so poignant at that time, you know.
Oh yeah, it's such a great show, and it, you know, you always get these shows where like the like I'd wager like back in that time is like ER and a few others where they have the same kind of setup with like the talking and the walk and talk essentially.
Yeah.
But at least this one, you can learn from it. Like you learn a lot of history and you learn a lot of like political stuff that you might not have known about. And sure, they're dealing with like sometimes fictional countries or things that aren't actually happening, but rewatching it, there was a lot of stuff that they were talking about then that we're still talking about now.
Oh yeah, I think that for the most part, West Wing really shaped like our generation. I think that like a lot of people got into the political sciences, speech writing, the communications fields because of the CJs I know that my minor was communications with a focus on political speech writing. And I did that because I was so in awe of CJ and I loved what she did. And I was like, maybe that I could do that if law fails. So like I have that in my back pocket. Not that I want to do political speech writing these days.
Right. It's definitely, I you know, looking back, politics, yeah, and I don't want to get like too
No, absolutely not.
political, you know, too political-ish, but I will say that the politics of the time then are definitely not the politics of the time now.
Oh no, and you could not release an episode like their September 11th episode in
Oh my
today's day and age.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of episodes that I don't think you could release
Oh no.
in this day and age, but
I will tell you, Isaac and Ishmael, which is the September 11th episode, is one of my absolute favorite episodes of The West Wing.
so many good episodes. But I do want to ask because I don't want to like keep brushing it off. Normally, I always ask like how you got into it, and you told me how you got into it, and what draws you to it. Well, you know, political science and something to watch and get away from studying and whatnot. So I'll jump straight to the next question, which would be, you've mentioned CJ Craig is your favorite character. Hit me with why CJ Craig is your favorite.
Oh, she's just. Back then, there wasn't anyone like her on TV. There wasn't that strong female character who literally in season 1 walks into the room and says, hey, I don't care if you're trying to protect me. Tell me what is going on so I can do my job.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells it like it is. But then she also has these storylines where she's, taking care of the fish that Danny brings her. And she has these, the jackal, which cracks me up. Allison Janney's one of my new favorite people because I just rediscovered Drop Dead Gorgeous a couple of nights ago, is on Hulu, and I watched that, and she's hysterical in that. And to think that she did that and then did The West Wing, it's just two very different sides of her. The comedy side, which she handles beautifully, and then there is that dramatic side where she, the Black Vera Wang, and when she took over for Leo as chief of staff, like she was able to do these things, and it was never a question of if she was capable.
Mm-hmm.
Which you see in a lot of. I know someone mentioned Madam Secretary to me, and I started watching it, and it was all the first episode was a bunch of men talking about whether or not she was capable of doing the job she's doing, and that always frustrates me. And her ability to tell it like it is, and be that brain and the brilliant brain in the room that also has that compassionate side. I just love it. And I also love Will Bailey. in the later episodes, he cracks me up.
With CJ, I think one of the other things I really like about her is that she's tall. Like that's
Yeah.
the other thing is that you have a lot of like with the characters you have and again most of them are male characters, and you have like CJ, but you have like she's this character who she's got, like, as you said, like the feminine side, where she's dressed up and she's got like the way that she is there, but like she's tall, she can be imposing.
Oh yeah.
She handles like the press room phenomenally well.
Yes.
And it's just a marvel to see. I will say on my rewatch, because I did not watch at the time when Leo had the first heart attack and she became the chief of staff. I was blown away. I was like, what does Leo mean? There's only one person for the job, and it's CJ? CJ is the one that always felt like the one that is left out of the conversation.
Oh yeah.
Didn't have those informations, didn't have that back history of like, you know, the actual governmental politics and world information. But after a time, she definitely was running the show.
I mean, when they do the episodes where they talk about how they get together, the Bartlett for America string of episodes, and they do hers, I was shocked, honestly, that she came from a LA PR firm. Like, that's the last place I expected someone who knows the inner workings of foreign policy to come from. I mean, that must have been one heck of a crash course she received as she got this job.
Oh yeah, it is crazy, but again, you know, it's that character that you fall in love with, and it's like just so good. And I think she gets I think one of the things I love about CJ is that she's one of those characters that gets to interact with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Rather than you have like the trio of like Josh and Toby and Sam. So they're like the core three.
Yeah.
And then you have like Leo and the president, and she gets to like go between and be she interacts with everybody.
Yes, and there's only one person who can call her by her full name, and that's the president, and I think that's really funny. Because there is like one throwaway line where someone tries to use her full name and she shuts them down. And it's like, it's just quick blink and you'll miss it, but it's there and it's so funny. But the president can say Claudia Jean until the cows come home because he's the president.
Now, with the West Wing, there's like a bajillion story arcs that are all going on at the same time. But did you have any favorites when you were watching it, of like you look back and you're like, I really like this storyline or this like story arc?
Oh, I think it's a tie. I love the Mark Harmon episodes with him and CJ. I think it's both funny and heartbreaking. And I hate the fact that Mark Harmon was going to stay on and do more episodes, but he got contracted onto a little show called NCIS and had to leave. And so I think that he would have stayed longer, and I would have loved to see where that went, because by the end I could really believe that they would have gotten together. And then the other one is the Donna and his name is escaping me, the person that Christian Slater played when he was stationed at the White House, and then there was the anonymous quote in the paper, and so she skips the inauguration, and it's Josh and Charlie and Toby and Will, and they go to her house and they're throwing snowballs at her window, and I just think that scene is just so fun. And also super satisfying, because it all kind of wraps up nicely in the finale episode when Josh wakes up next to Donna and everyone's like, yay! That
is one of the longest will they or won't they romance storylines I think I've ever seen happen.
It's true. But when I have a good day and I do something and it's like successful, I will go on my personal Facebook and I will post the clip from, I think it's the first season, where Josh did something amazing and he walks out and he's all like, bring me the finest coffees and bagels in all the land. I always post that every time something. Like, that's my go-to. Win a case, that clip will pop up.
I do want to ask, because we're getting into storylines, and there's one that I remember reading about and then doing my rewatch. And I went back and I looked at the interview with the actor who played Toby, and his name's escaping me right now. Richard Schiff, I think it is.
Yep.
And it was a storyline about him leaking the information about the secret space shuttle. And I don't remember if it's a recent interview or one like that was done right near the end of the West Wing or after it, but he was like, Toby would never have leaked. And I still firmly believe that Toby is not the leaker and that he's actually covering for someone.
Oh, I think so. 100%. And that was actually from it might not be, but he also said the same thing on West Wing Weekly.
Okay.
Great podcast if you're ever looking for, you're jonesing for that fix. Josh Molina hosts it with, his name's escaping me right now, but every episode they have someone on to talk about either the policy or shooting the episode or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really informative. That's where I learned the Mark Harmon bit, and he's on for a bunch of different episodes, but he's on for that one, and he mentions that, and I 100% believe he's covering for someone. I just want to know who.
The mysteries of the West Wing that will never get solved.
It's the fan fiction waiting to happen.
I was when I was watching it, I was doing like random tweets, just to be like, oh, I've watched it, it's so good or whatever. And I was thinking, because there's several episodes where they have really young, like interns or staffers that are there, and there's multiple times where like Sam would be like, oh, when you graduate college, come see me, or somebody would do something and they would say like, oh, you do really great work, and keep at it, stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, dang, if they could find, if they really wanted to, they could redo the West Wing and have one of those minor characters that was so phenomenal, like be that new chief of staff or that new speechwriter, because we got the actual West Wing anniversary is right around the corner on September 22nd is when it first debuted 20 years ago.
Oh, that would be great. You know what I would really love? I would love it for it to take place and start on the campaign trail and have it be grassroots and just like do it from the get-go and have it all the way through.
Just spitballing here because it's fun. If you were going to do like a West Wing with maybe one of the other characters, because the president always was like, Sam, you're going to be president one day. Like, would you see Sam as a president, or would you see like another character maybe like step up and be one of those like free leader of the free world, or chief of staff, or vice president, or something of that nature?
See, I always wanted to follow Charlie to Georgetown, so I think what would be great is if they brought back maybe Sam, because he has the legal background, he has the experience on the Hill, so he's probably the more qualified, with Charlie as chief of staff. I would love to see where he ends up.
Oh, that would be cool. There's just so much that they could do, and I know a lot of the actors have definitely moved on.
Oh, yeah.
And it still blows my mind because we watch Handmaid's Tale, and just to see Bradley Whitford.
Oh, he's so evil on that show.
He's so evil, but the look that he has is just doesn't look anything at all like Josh ever.
No, I can't believe he's on that show, and he's just so wicked. And who you could get back is probably Lily Tomlin, because she's doing big things now. Because she was in the last couple of seasons, she took over in Mrs. Landingham's or Charlie's space.
Yep.
And she's a hoot. She's so crazy.
Yeah, it is definitely a show where if you haven't watched it, I mean, and again, we're not. I'm trying not to be like super political, but it's a good show. Even if you and they have like good balance on both sides as far as I think the representation. It obviously skews one way because of the political party,
Oh, totally.
but I mean, I liked and I'm going like way off topic, or maybe not. John Goodman's character, like when he was Speaker of the House and he became president, I liked his character. I wanted to see him back again, and it was such a treat to see when they're flying out for the one president's funeral out in, I think is like California, perhaps.
Yeah.
Where it was like you had the current president, you had John Goodman's president who was there for like a couple weeks. You had, and I cannot remember the character actor's name. He's like really tall, distinguished looking.
I can't remember his name either. I can see it in my head.
Yep. And just I loved when they were all together,
and I have to say the casting for that show is on point, because Alan Alda in those as Vinnick is so good. And I love Alan Alda. I think he's brilliant, but he was just so good at being that character, being that Republican senator who's running for president, who, it's just so good. He's so good in it.
So good. The only thing that Tracey and I can say is it's so good.
You need to watch it.
And you need to watch it, and it's on Netflix, and watch it before they start taking it away, like they like other other brands or other networks are now like, oh, we want to get into the streaming business, and therefore we're taking our shows.
It is an NBC show. I can see Warner trying to snatch it back for their streaming service.
Why? Listen, dear network, there's only so many people I'm going to pay.
Exactly.
And one of them is going to be Disney, because they have good stuff coming out.
Oh,
but
we talk about that? I want to talk about this.
Which thing? Which we want to talk about? Okay, we'll talk about Disney Plus, because I'm going to make the point right here with the networks. I love Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
I refuse to pay CBS to watch Star Trek for two reasons. Number one, there's no other shows that I would want to watch on CBS to pay for besides Survivor, and we watch that live. And number two, I firmly believe that Star Trek should be a primetime show forever and ever. That's it.
I'm a Trekkie, and I agree with you. Although I did spring for the $5.99 because I wanted to see Twilight Zone, which I'm also enjoying. I think Jordan Peele's spin is really good, and it's really kind of grabbing a hold of those socio-political problems that Rod Serling was handling in the old episodes. And I think he's doing that well. And I know that they started they changed them over to black and white, so you can watch in either color or black and white. So I haven't tried the black and white version yet, but I can see how their first episode, The Comedian, would be really good in black and white.
I've obviously not seen them because I don't pay for CBS.
No.
But maybe one day I will get to see them.
I hope so. They're really good.
So I mentioned Disney Plus, and now you're like, I want to talk about Disney Plus.
I'm so excited.
I know. I made the promise to one of our friends. I said, because they scratch our back, and I scratch their back, and that's the commitment that I'm making. But for Disney Plus, there's so many shows that they have committed to make that sound phenomenally good. and I'm very excited to see them all.
I'm excited to see them, and I'm excited to have the back catalog that they're releasing. They're doing all in the vault animated movies, live action, which my son has recently gotten super hooked on Swiss Family Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to show him like Blackbeard's Ghost and Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and which probably is not as PC now. It's not PC. We have to
Right,
go into
right.
it. That's the decade it was made. Young Sean Connery, though. But I'm also looking forward to what they're doing especially with the Pixar stuff. They're doing a whole documentary on what it's like to work for Pixar. And I don't know if it's ever come to your area, but there is this great exhibit that came to the Museum of Science called The Science of Pixar. And it went through the movie making process step by step. And as a kid, we brought my son, and he said from that moment on he wants to work for Pixar because he got to do each step using his favorite characters. And I thought that was so cool. Now that they're doing this documentary, and I told him that, he's very excited. We're going to watch it together. But we're all really excited about like The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Stoked for that. And there's just so much. There's so much to look forward to.
There is, and I think one of the things that I'm excited for, because I grew up like I was watching shows with Disney forever.
Oh yeah.
And in the 90s was always like you'd come home and you'd watch like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers and Tailspin and
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck and the Gummy Bears. But the show that I'm so very looking forward to, and it was not on the list when they published like their list of like all the animated stuff that's going to be like on the network. I want my Gargoyles, please, because that show was so ahead of its time, and I really just want to rewatch it.
I think that they'll release it, and I bet you that they'll announce a live action.
I would love a live action. Give me a live action.
I think it would be great. I actually am also super excited that they're doing a Phineas and Ferb movie. I love Phineas and Ferb. I think it's super, super funny. The songs are great. It's entertaining to watch as a parent. And I know that we have Disney Now on our TV right now, and on our Roku, and it's free if you log into your cable account. And they had Kim Possible up there.
Kim Possible's great.
I love Kim Possible, and I shared it with my son, and we binge watched a bunch of it. And I never saw the end episode. So one day when no one was home, I watched the final episode to see how it ended.
And then you got to watch the movie.
I haven't seen the live action one, but wait, I do own So Not the Drama, which is the animated one where Kim and Ron get together.
Yes.
And I remember cheering for that moment because you root for Ron as the underdog.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Their holiday special is one of my favorites. It's one of the ones I pop in every year.
Yeah, I love Kim Possible. That was one of those shows when I was watching, I was like, man, this is so good. And then of course you get you like realize like who some of these voice actors are, and you're like, I can't believe it's this person and this person and this person. And of course one of my favorites is Will Friedle from Boy Meets World, who is Ron Stoppable.
Yeah.
And it blows me away, and the show is just so good.
I mean, they've remained friends too. She has a YouTube cooking show now, and he was just on it, and they were singing the Rufus rap while they were making nachos. And if there is ever a feeling that I ever want to feel, it's that moment where you're watching Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable make nachos in the middle of the kitchen. And I mean, DuckTales has had quite the resurgence too. So they're going to be putting the old one and the new one, and I think that'll be fun.
That will be. My kids, we started watching the old one with them. We made it through, I think, at least 2 seasons of it, and they were really, they really got into it.
The movie, the treasure of the Lamp, I think is
Yep.
the name of it. That one's on Netflix. I mean, Amazon for cheap if you get the digital. I think we paid $5 for it, and that movie stands up. It's really, really good.
It's a lot of what they did, especially like those mid '90s cartoons with the aforementioned, Rescue Rangers and DuckTales and Darkwing Duck. Like those stand up. Like they are wonderful almost any time.
Oh yeah, and it's great to have a kid that loves animation because I can pull out all of like the old movies. In our countdown, we're going to Disney in November. In our countdown, we did we're doing a movie a week, and we did Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros.
Oh my goodness, those are classics.
And they're classics, and I forgot how much I enjoyed them, but he really enjoyed them because they're shorts. And we could pause the movie and go grab a snack and not miss anything, and just he just loved it. And so I've bought the documentary that came out about their trip to South America and how they came up with the ideas and stuff like that. We're going to watch that at some point soon because he really enjoyed it.
Speaking technically just Disney Plus and like the new content, are you more looking forward to like The Mandalorian? Are you more looking forward to like some of the stuff that they're going to do with Marvel? Are you just looking forward to like what is like what's the big draw? The Marvel stuff?
Marvel. I'm super excited about. I mean, I don't know if they're going to change the name. And again, spoiler alert, I don't know if we can do this.
You can do anything you want.
Okay.
It's my show.
It's spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame. All right, I've waited enough. I cannot wait to see what they do with Winter Soldier and Falcon now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Change the name. They have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they have all that promotional material for it, but I would hope that they would change it because I think it needs to be changed. And I'm really the one thing, and I've had a few conversations with people on the podcast about it, is how like we're getting into the territory of we just went through 22 movies, and now we're getting obviously they have a slate of new movies that they're going to be working on. And we have this like Disney Plus stuff. Like it's going to definitely be one of those things of how much does one person need to watch?
Yes.
And like how are they going to incorporate it? Like because I know that they were talking about for Far From Home having Falcon as Captain America show up at some like as like a little minor cameo, and they decided not to not take away from Spider-Man doing his Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like, okay, am I going to like Loki's definitely going to be some like a show where if I watch it, like I'm going to maybe need to watch it because maybe he'll show up in a movie and I need to see what's going on.
I think I've already said that his is going to be retro, like going back.
Okay.
So I don't think you're going to need to like see that to see a movie. And the same goes for Vision and Scarlet Witch. I believe that's going to be like something like they go back in time to the 1950s or something like that. And I think I heard that it's like a not period drama or period piece, but period piece. But the Falcon, I was like, are they going to rename it Winter Soldier and Captain America? Like, I mean, I would have loved to see him show up in Spider-Man, but that's just me. And my son, who has sensory issues, he hasn't seen Endgame yet, but he has seen Far From Home, and we kind of had to spoil Endgame for him because we know when he watches, he'll hit a certain point and he won't be able to watch anymore if he doesn't know.
Right.
So we had to spoil the deaths. We had to spoil what happened. And I will never forget the look on his face when I told him what happened with the Captain America. And he was just so excited because he loves the Falcon. He loves Captain America too, but he loves the Falcon. And the fact that he's going to be Captain America now, he's like, that is amazing. So I think that what's great about Disney Plus is it's going to be stuff we can all watch together. Like Netflix, we really have to, like he has his kids section. When we go to watch stuff together, we go into the kids section because it's set for age appropriateness.
Right.
But Disney Plus, I mean, aside from the occasional series, is going to be all family friendly, and I think that that's a strong point. I mean, it's going to be cheaper than Netflix, and there's going to be more for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I'm like, I don't mind spending. I mean, we have Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, CBS, so we have the gamut. I'm more than willing to pay for Disney and like drop one of the others.
Absolutely. And it's that I mean, you know, the one thing when they announced The Mandalorian was, you know, they've done Star Wars TV show talk for years. Like Kevin Smith was supposed to be directing a Star Wars TV show and it never came to fruition. And someone else was supposed to be directing a Star Wars TV show, and they've already had the script for like 50 episodes like written, and this was before they sold it to Disney, and nothing ever happened. And now here we are, and we're actually going to have a Star Wars TV show.
And I have such, I'm trying to temper my hopes for it. Like, I don't want to get my hopes too high up, but I think like everyone should get excited because Disney has money to burn. And so, the effects and everything are going to be better than your average TV show. So I think that we have a lot to look forward to for that. And for the price point we're paying, I think what they're banking on is everybody sees what they're offering and says, hey, we're more than willing to pay that.
Absolutely. And I mean, for a large portion of the population, like a lot of us grew up with Disney. We're definitely in that, category of, hey, remember all the good times in the 80s and the 90s that we had? And all the stuff that your kids like now, well, we're going to have it all.
I mean, I completely agree. And also, I'm wondering if they're going to be like, we watched All That the other night. They have new episodes on Nickelodeon of All That. There's a whole new cast. The kids still do sketches. There's still a performance. And I'm wondering if now is the time to bring back like Mickey Mouse Club or Kids Incorporated and really hit that retro fix that we're all kind of waiting for as 80s kids.
And that would be something because, I think I watched Mickey Mouse Club like way back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't watch like the new one whenever like Britney Spears or the NSYNC or Backstreet Boys were on it. And it's like, okay, I'm not as familiar with the Mickey Mouse Club as maybe some of my younger counterparts, but it would definitely be something to watch and see because I'd almost equate like, and I guess the one thing I'd hope for is it wouldn't turn into like a competition, like who's going to be the next Mouseketeer on.
Yeah, let's not have any reality TV.
Yes, let us avoid that. The only reality TV I want is documentaries.
I mean, I'll even take like Nailed It, which is one of my absolute favorite. Like, I don't watch any reality. Like, I did a blog post about this for the ladies. I don't watch any reality TV series that are like really competition, like cutthroat competition. I watch the ones where it's a competition, but they're nice to each other. So like Nailed It, Making It, which was on NBC last year and had Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman, and it was like a craft off.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Great British Baking Show. Why do I watch these three? Because everyone's really nice to each other and helps each other. And I mean, Nailed It, that thing, like most of those things are train wrecks. But the judges always find something nice to say. And so I kind of love it. They did a Marvel episode at the beginning of the season that just came out, and they did a Black Panther cake. And it was a nightmare.
Oh my goodness. We've watched a few episodes of Nailed It, and it's just like I feel bad because they're doing their best, and I just I don't think I could do it. I honestly, I've watched I watched the shows where the kids are like kids baking championship, where there's like the 8 and 9-year-olds.
Yeah,
like I couldn't do that. There's no way I could do that. And I'm almost 40 years old, and I can maybe bake a cake. Maybe.
I was about to say I could probably do the baking portion where you make the cake or the cookie, but in decorating it, I can't even imagine taking it on. And there are a lot of people that go on that show and say, "Hey, I just wanted to try it to see what I could do. And
Mhm.
and they'll say that during the competition, and they'll be like, well, we're glad you're here. And that's so refreshing. Like, most of my timeline the other night was there's some new like Love Island or something that
Yep.
everyone's like, let's watch that, and I'm like, I just can't. Like, that's not in my wheelhouse. There's something for everyone on this planet, but that stuff is not for me.
I agree. I mean, I think I watched way back when I was stupid and in my 20s, I believe. I think I watched Temptation Island on Fox, which was like couples that went to an island, but they're tempted with
Oh, I remember that one.
the possibilities, and it's like, why did I watch that? Like, I don't know. You know,
It was the early days of reality TV, though, and I think that back then we were willing to try anything, and now we're a little bit more discerning. Like, I do miss there was one on Fox that that aired in the 2000s, and there were people up in the northern part of Maine, the northmost part of Maine, in like this little quiet village that at night would become, and I'm using air quotes here, haunted. And then at the end of an episode, someone would die. Like, two people.
what?
Yeah, fake die. And then
That's blowing me away.
It was messed up. And in one of the contestants, because this is how I know it's early 2000s, one of the contestants was one of the first responders in 9/11.
Wow.
And so Fox made a big deal out of it. And oh yeah, I remember that one. That's one I watched, but I try and like watch more scripted TV. so now I'm like, nailed it and making it, and Great British Baking Show are that's pretty much it.
I understand. I'm okay. Like, I think the only competition one we watch is Survivor, and
I can see that. I mean, that's somewhat like educational, how to survive on an island. And I mean, the Cutthroat is still there. I mean, I forget what season they're on. What season are they on?
Oh gosh, 500 million? I don't know. Like, I think they're going on like 40 something, because they do 2 a year, and it started in 99. So it's 2019 now, 20. So yeah, they'd be like going on their 40th or 41st, somewhere around there.
So like,
maybe.
I watched the first maybe 5 seasons.
Yep, I watched I think like the first 13 or 14. I missed a few in the middle, and then I started started watching it again. And so and it's our family show, so we watch it together as a family.
That's nice, though. Like, I mean, you know, where they have those other seasons is CBS All Access. You know, if you really want to catch up.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So I'm
sorry, I had to say it. They literally have like every season of every CBS show ever made.
It is perfectly all right. It's perfectly all right. So, I mean, we've talked TV shows, and we've talked like a whole mess of like our Disney fanaticism of what we want. But last year you came on with your compatriot, which last year you came on with Savannah, and we had a talk for Women in Tabletop Gaming Month. But I know we're talking now, and one of the games that you and I are both really fond of is Savage Worlds.
Yes, I love Savage Worlds.
And they just did a Kickstarter last year, and it was super duper successful for a new version, because they've been running on the old version for almost, I don't know, like at least 10 years.
At least.
So they updated it, and it's finally coming out, I believe, sometime next month in book format, because they've released like the PDFs, and I believe there's like 500 million PDFs, because a lot of companies got into like making settings for it, or one shot type deals of information about like future settings that they're working on. But I'm so excited, because where a lot of people know Dungeons and Dragons, and it's the big tabletop game in the room. It's where a lot of people, that's their first taste of it. But Savage Worlds is the system where I feel is you still get the dice rolling, and you still get that like the that sense of having like let me start over. You still get the dice rolling, but I feel like, as opposed to 4th edition and 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, you can make your character very specific, to the point of, if there was 10 people at a table with me, there would be almost no overlap on character concept, character backgrounds, anything.
Oh yeah, no, I think I love Savage Worlds for almost everything, and I'll use that as a caveat. I'm not a huge fan of it for supers. I think Icons or Mutants and Masterminds does it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But you could take that system and make it anything you want. And I think that's one of the best things. And then when it comes to dice rolling, which I know you say you still get that taste of rolling dice, I think you get to roll your dice more, because a lot of the times they explode. And when you explode, you get the highest number on the dice you're rolling, and you get to keep re-rolling until it's not the highest number. And so that excitement at the table and the use of bennies to reward good role playing, I think make it a better system for especially people who are just starting out in role playing, who might need that extra encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
But they can also sit at the table and say, hey, we're playing this pulp game. I want to be Indiana Jones meets Doc Savage. And you can do that.
Absolutely. One of my friends, Jim, is one of the people that introduced me to Savage Worlds way back when I was living in Charlotte. And he told me the best analogy that he has for Savage Worlds is vanilla ice cream, and you can flavor that vanilla ice cream any way you want. You can put toppings on it, you can put like sauce on it. It's basically this wonderful system that, depending on which way you want to go, like style wise or game wise, you can find it out there. I mean, they have things like Flash Gordon, and they have science fiction games, and they have fantasy games, and they have pirate games. They have like zombie pirate games. They have regular pirate games set in like colonial times. Like, you can find a setting for Savage Worlds that's out there and just run with it.
I mean, I took a picture for a ladies blog post, but also for our ELS Day Instagram, when I was getting ready for running a Pirates game for our Try an RPG day, and I used Savage Worlds. And that Pirates of the Spanish Main book still remains one of the most beautiful books to hold, because the map is so intricate and the detailing on the pages, it's just so beautiful. And so I'm curious to see what they do with the new edition, whether or not they do re-releases of these with the updated info, because I would pre-order that the day they announced it.
Mm-hmm. That is one of the things that I'm looking forward to. Is like, I know that they've talked about re-releasing a lot of their companion books, so I'm excited for those to be released, because it'll definitely be a really great asset. But I think the other thing is that like of like the communities, and of course, you know, excluding Dungeons and Dragons, because it's got that big footprint.
Yeah.
The Savage Worlds community is super like supportive. They're super involved with each other. I'm a member on like Facebook of a Savage Worlds group, and it is just phenomenal to see like the work that they're doing, or taking licenses. Like, they're actually investing in licenses to self-publish. Like, someone got like the Robotech license,
Yeah.
and did a Savage Worlds Robotech.
Yep, and there's Savage Worlds Rifts now, which I know Savannah's super excited about. And there's, I mean, someone came up to me at LadiesCon. His name is Roel, and hi Roel. And he was like, "Can you write a setting for this?" And he showed me a bunch of really random pictures. Now, I haven't gotten to work on the setting in a while, but I am working on it, and I'm working on it for Savage Worlds. And we're hoping we can get them to approve it so that we can print it.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of gotten pushed to the side because lady stuff has pretty much moving lady stuff, family stuff. It's really like tough when you're doing, and I'm sure you can, relate when you have, the full-time job and the family and all of the commitments that go with that, and then you're doing, the podcast. It's the same thing. Like I've got the lady stuff and it's a lot of work, but I'd love to get that thing done because it's going to be beautiful, and I love Savage Worlds for it. It's one of those ones that's super adaptable to anything.
Now, if somebody's listening, and they're interested in Savage Worlds, we've gotten them interested. What would you recommend setting wise for them to like try out to get that full Savage Worlds like experience?
Oh, that is a really good question because I've played in multiple different different settings. I've done rippers, I've done pirates, but you know what? There's nothing like good pulp adventure, like a good Indiana Jones trying to get the artifact before the bad guys, game for it. And what's great is, and I don't know if you've ever utilized this, but Peg Inc., who does Savage Worlds, they actually have an area with like free downloadable adventures and pre-gens. So if you don't have the time to like come up with pre-generated characters to try this system, you can get all that for free on their website.
I know. I mean, there's obviously, like we talked about, there's so many different settings. I have a few of them that I picked up because I was like, oh, I want to read them, because I think the other thing that Savage Worlds did as far as like before their Kickstarter was the books were really cheap. Like the books were really well priced, and you're getting a lot of content in them, and it's just a good read. One of the ones that I never got to read, but that is, it seems like it's always like one of the ones that's really suggested on the Facebook group, is the East Texas University.
Yeah, I've actually never owned that one either. I hear it's great. And isn't it a horror one?
It's a horror one, but I think you also still like attend like classes possibly in your university, and you have like the whole university stuff, but you have to balance it with like your horror, zombie, whatever is going on type scenarios.
Yeah, I know that there's an actual play out there, and I don't listen to a ton of actual play, so I haven't like checked it out, but there is an actual play where they're going through that setting, and people rave about it.
Oh yeah, it's one of the ones that I know a lot of people, they always suggest like go for that one. And of course, like the predecessor to Savage Worlds with Deadlands is always one of the other ones where people are like, that's again, it's another great setting of a Western mixed with like Cthulhu type themes. And
Deadland Noir is gorgeous.
I did. I was happy to have kickstarted that book. Like I, again, don't have time to play, but it's sitting right next to my original Orange Deadlands book that I bought back in the 90s.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of chances to play either, and I think it's really kind of sad because we have a whole room in our basement now filled with books, and really we're only going to get to use them for one shots when we go to conventions. I mean, our weeknight group right now is Pathfinder Starfinder, and really there's nothing else. I mean, I think for Try an RPG Day this time I'm going to be running I think I'm running Star Trek Adventures.
Okay.
Which is gorgeous. If you haven't seen those books, they're written as if you are a member of as if you're a member getting your guidebook to your position, and they're so beautiful.
All the books.
I know.
All the books and all the money, and like I think I've got Star Trek on my Amazon wish list, and I'm like, even if I get it, I'll have no one to play it with. But maybe one day.
One day. I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to try it, but I have to say the chase rules in that and the chase rules in the new Savage Worlds are great. The chase rules in Starfinder are really good, and the chase rules in Star Trek Adventures is really good. So I think we're reaching like this point in gaming where people realized how bad the chase rules used to be.
Oh my goodness. I remember, what was it? It was Star Wars. Was it the D20 revised? I think it was. It was back in it had to have been late 90s or the early 2000s, and they tried to do like Starship Combat, and it was always garbage.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Starship Combat was always garbage with Star Wars, and I was like, this is why your characters don't do anything in the starships, because they just aren't good.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing Starfinder, we alternate, and when we played Starfinder and we had ship battles, they really actually felt like there were stakes, because you're rolling to see who goes first, and you're rolling to see who's, and the first person gets the better position because they go first. So you can really catch someone in the act, and I think it's really neat. I always hate those chase rules where you're always racing to catch up, and you might never catch up because the person ahead of you has a bonus, and it's like, then we're not getting anywhere. Make it fun.
Mhm.
And that's one of the great things about Savage Worlds is the ability to go, hey, is there a rope over there? And we're like, for a Benny there will be. And being able to make that fun and figure out the fun in the situation, it shouldn't all be serious role playing, no, you have to roll 15 times before you do this. You can make it fun. And I think that's one of the things that Savage Worlds does so beautifully.
It does. And, of course, using bennies to help out is always fun, to like pull them out and be like, bam.
What I do is I actually have them in the middle of the table, so players can reward other players for good role playing as well, or for doing something funny. Like, everyone rewards everyone else except for the GM, who only gets what they're allotted and nothing else. But it's a fun mechanic of just putting the bennies out there and saying, if you think that person's doing good role playing, you give them a benny.
And there you go. And that's how you support the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's not what they were initially meant for, but it's a house rule that I find makes perfect sense.
I totally see that. And that's a good thing, because I know that was something where, like, when we played old World of Darkness back again, late 90s, Vampire or Mage or whatever, like, you would get extra experience from the other players, because they'd be like, oh, well, this person did this and this and this, and I thought they did really good role playing, and it got you more involved by having like the people that you're playing with like recognize that.
Yeah, and I think another thing is it takes the onus off of the GM. For, like, the GM could be, dealing with a rules question, and somebody else can go, hey, you just said something super funny, super in character, here you go. And I don't have to be everywhere at once. I can be taking care of what I need to, while everybody else is recognizing the good work that needs to be done. And I think that one of the things that D&D kind of falls into is it can get very grindy, and nobody's really role-playing. Everyone wants to hit stuff. And I think one of the things that Savage Worlds does with the Benny system is say, hey, that's not the only thing about role-playing. Like, role-playing is also interacting with the people in the town and trying to do things diplomatically, and knowing when is a good time to fight.
Absolutely. So if you've listened to Tracey and I just talk about Savage Worlds, definitely go check it out. I know they just sent an email as we were recording today. We're recording on the 11th of July. This episode won't be out until August, so I think pre-orders will be closed for the books by that time, but you will probably be able to find them and get yourself a copy.
So it closes July 16th. I'm actually looking this up now. It's closing July 16th, and it looks like our stuff will be shipping in mid-August.
Awesome.
So I wonder if it's going to be a Gen Con release. I don't think it will be. I think they'll try and get it into our hands before it goes out to the public. They're pretty good about that.
That would be nice. I'd like my book.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I did the collector's edition because we've run it so many different places, and they did the unboxing video, and it literally, there's a box with like the beautiful plastic templates, a place to put your action deck, a place to put your initiative deck, a place to put your bennies, your wild dies, and then it actually has a space up top for you to put your book. So you can put the lid on it and just pick it up and carry it out to the game.
And that is awesome. And I think that's one of the other things that's really cool is people buy their deck of cards to theme it with whatever game that they're running. And I really like that's really cool.
And I know that every time I've backed when I did Rippers, I got special Ripper bennies and special Ripper decks for my initiative cards.
Mm-hmm.
And they're beautiful. I haven't gotten a chance to use them yet, but they're beautiful. The same goes for, I think I did Weird Wars 1, and those came with special, army fatigue bennies and a special deck. And the GM screens they do are beautiful too. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like.
Oh, it's going to be nice. I look forward to. I don't think I ever saw the unboxing video, so I'll have to check it out.
Oh, I'll see if I can find it and link it to you.
There we go. See, teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right. Now, Tracey, we've been talking for a little bit over an hour, and you have mentioned multiple times a couple of things that you're involved in, and I know I mentioned it at the start with ELS Gameday. So, what do you have going on? Where can people find you? What things are on the radar? Tell everybody everything.
Okay, so I'll start with the personal stuff. I can be found on Twitter at NachoPKB. That's NachoPKB for Princess Keyblade, because I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. And I like nachos. So for ELS Gameday, we are a all-women's game day, all women and those who identify, game day in Boston, Massachusetts. We take place at Comicazi, which is a great comic game toy shop in Somerville, Massachusetts. We are usually the second Sunday of every month, with the exceptions of September, December, and January. We, as ELS, we have a private group on Facebook. We have our Instagram is ELS Day Boston, and our Twitter is ELS Day Boston. Our next game day is actually this Sunday, and we're doing Unspeakable Words as our featured game. We're generally games on demand, but we have one featured game that we present at least once during the 6 hours of gaming that we provide. We have a Twitter at ELS Day Boston, and now I'll go into the ladies stuff because that's pretty long. The Ladies of Comicazi is a group of women who support Comicazi, the comic game toy shop in Somerville, Massachusetts. We can be found at ladiesofcomicazi.com. We have a blog on ladiesofcomicazi.com that talks about pop culture. This week's blog post is all about movie remakes and the history of them and whether or not it's okay to be mad at them. It's actually really good. And the one from last week is actually the ELS Day. Myself and Savannah were writing why ELS Day, which ELS stands for Earhart, Lovelace, and Shelley, which represents the 3 different kinds of gaming. So we're going through each letter and giving a bio of the lady and some games that fit the description of the game types. We also, we can be found on, I'm looking up our Instagram is Ladies of Comicazi. Our Twitter is at Comicazi Ladies. And we have a Facebook group. And in September is our big event. Our event is LadiesCon, which is a free, family-friendly convention, which takes place in Somerville, Massachusetts at the Armory. And we have vendors. What we've had in the past are Fan Service Nails. It's a wonderful woman who creates nail polishes and lotions and lip balm now that is actually pop culture based. So I own the Big Damn Heroes line, which is the entire like a whole bunch of Firefly colors. I have Peggy Carter themed ones. I have Steven Universe themed ones. They're fantastic. And then we also have like Hellcat Press local vendors. And so we have those. And then our confirmed guests so far are Mad Rupert, Tana Ford, Ming Doyle, and Mildred Lewis. And then the other upcoming events we have, because this is coming out in August, right?
August, yep.
So our upcoming events in August are, we're doing Make Your Own Dice Boxes. And that takes place the second Saturday of the month, which is the 10th of August, which this will drop after, but we'll have tutorials and stuff probably on our website. And we're doing our Try an RPG Day as well coming up. And if you go on our Instagram or our Twitter, we are looking for women GMs to GM for women tables, which is, I have to say, one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had as a GM is having that full table of all women, because the game did not go remotely where I thought it would, and it was fantastic. But yeah, so, and then, yep, and then LadiesCon, and then we kind of get quiet. There's a couple of ELS days in October and November, but LadiesCon, as you can imagine, is a very big project. And so right now we're in the middle of getting our panelists together. So if you are hearing this and it's August, we are actually still looking for panels, which we have the information on all of our socials. If you are woman, person of color, LGBTQ+, we are looking for you. And we haven't announced our panels yet, so I really can't go into what they are, except for
right.
I can tell you the one that we're doing is ELS, which is we're doing Gaming 101. So your friends want to get into gaming, and we're going to talk about the best way to get people into gaming and talk about the terms, and we're going to talk about board games versus RPGs, and it's going to be fun. Last year we had a good time. Our panel last year was So You're the Only Woman at the Gaming Table, a Survival Guide. So we do have a good time with it, and all of the other ladies are so great. So it really is a team effort. We're really in the crunch time now, so it's been nice to take this break and kind of have a chat about like West Wing and Disney Plus stuff that I'm really not like able to think about on a daily basis, because I have to be like, oh, Ming Toyle's coming, and which I'm very excited for. She's so great. She's been at every single one. And we didn't even know that she has a movie coming out based off of her works. The Kitchen.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the Kitchen advertisement, it looks really good.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure that I have all the links for everything, whether it be personal, ELS, LadiesCon. It'll all be linked in our show notes on the website and on the Tales from the Fandom Facebook page. So that way you can find out all the information that Tracey has just laid down upon you.
I know it's a lot of information, but like I said, LadiesCon is fun. It's family friendly, and most importantly, it's free, which is wonderful around the start of the school year if you're a parent.
Oh, absolutely. Dang if you don't have to buy like 500 pencils that are pre-sharpened.
Oh, I got my list the other day, and it's like a bunch of paper towels, and I know that there's tissues on there, and of course, on top of all that stuff, all of the clothes and the new shoes and the drama fees and all that stuff. So it's a nice chance to get out and enjoy the weekend.
It is. So if you live in the area, go check it out. Or even if you don't live super close, but you could make a trip of it.
It is worth a trip.
Tracey said so.
And the area has good food too, so you can come to the convention and take a walk over to Comicazi and then go eat. Like, you can make a day of it.
Well, there you go. Well, I want to say, Tracey, number one, thank you so much for coming back to the podcast to talk about a multitude of things. And thank you for participating last year. And it has been really good to have you, been able to like chat with you on Twitter and everywhere else.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been great to be back, and I'll come back whenever, especially if we're going to talk about The Mandalorian when it comes out and stuff like that.
Hey, there we go. I'll make a note of that.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Tales from the Fandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.